Children, welcome to the biology class. Now we are discussing about the parts of a flower. So in the parts of a flower, we were discussing about the flower parts. The flower parts, they were arranged in 4 rows. So la previous class we have discussed about the row 1. Now row 2 and row 3. So row 2 consists of petals and corolla or modified leaves that surrounded the reproductive parts of the plants, and they are often brightly colored or they are unusually shaped to attract the pollinators. So there are 2 types of petals, that is polypetalous and gamopetalous. What are polypetalous? So petals are free. So petals which are free, for example mustard, rose, chrysanthemum. And petals are fused, for example datura, tenuia, and then evening flower we call it as scent flower, isn't it? So those are gamopetalous, that means they are having only one role. So next is perianth. The word perianth means the outer part of a flower, specifically the petals, and may also include the sepals. That means petals along with the sepals together called perianth, or leafy green parts that enclose the flower. So where petals and sepals cannot be distinguished, that point, that flowers are called perianth flowers, and they are categorized into 2, sepaloid and petaloid. Sepaloid means if the perianth is green in color, that is sepaloid, that means that cannot be distinguished. And petaloids means if the perianth is non-green in color, that might be of any color because petals are colorful like. So if it is a petaloid flower, then it will be in different colors. Next is androecium. So androecium is a roll of stamen which comprising of a filament and anther. So stamen, each stamen is made up of 3 parts, filament, anther and the connective. That is filament, which is a long stack, and next anther consists of pollen grains and stored in pollen sacs. So which connects a filament and anther is connective. Next, structure of flower. The first one is stamen, that is a male reproductive structure. Next is a filament, a thick stack which supports the anther, and next anther is knob-like structure, produces the pollen grains, and pollen contains microscopic cells that become sperm cells. And next, structure of female flower, pistil, that is female reproductive structure. Stigma, that is it consists of parts, stigma, style, ovary and ovule. Stigma is a sticky tips that traps the pollen which comes from the pollen grains, and style is a slender tube which transports pollen from the stigma to ovary. So ovary contains ovules and ovary develops into fruit. Ovule contains egg cell which develops into a seed when it's fertilized. So this is about shape and parts of a flower. Next, come on to the complete and incomplete flowers. So a complete or a perfect flower is one which contains all 4 floral structures. If one or more set of floral structures are missing, the flower is called incomplete flower. Okay, so flowers of grasses possess neither sepals nor petals. So there are essential and non-essential flowers also. Essential which used for reproductive, and non-essential which are not used for the reproduction. That means reproductive parts of a flower. The essential parts of a flower are those that are directly concerned with reproduction, and this part consists of stamens, male parts, and carpel, female parts. The non-essential, that is accessory parts, are simply that help the parts which either protect the reproductive parts of the flower or make the flower attractive for pollination. So parts are simply helping the parts which either protect the reproductive parts of the flower or to make flower attractive for pollination. These parts include sepals and petals. In some cases the petals and sepals are undifferentiated together called perianth. So that we have already discussed sepaloids and petaloids. So these are non-essential parts. So essential parts which related to the reproduction, that is androecium and gynoecium, and non-essential part calyx and corolla which initiates the reproduction. Next, bracts. When a flower arises in the axil of the leaf-like structure, the structure is known as bracts. So they may be green color and they are ordinary leaves. See the essential and non-essential parts of a flower. So parts of a flower are those that are directly associated with reproduction. Non-essential parts are those which are either protect the reproductive parts of a flower to make the flower attractive for pollination. Sepals and petals. Next comes to the sexuality in flowers. So male, female and bisexual flowers. Male, female and bisexual flowers. The anthers of the stamen produce pollen which forms the male cells or male gametes. The ovary of the carpel bears the ovule. See, female reproductive system is gynoecium which contains carpel, and male reproductive system contains pistil, that is which is a combination of stamens that contains pollen. See here, if we take the structure of a flower, see the pistil, stigma, style, ovary and ovule. This is called carpel. Next, stamen contains filament, anther and pollen. Pistil, stigma, style, ovary and ovule. So ovule which encloses the egg cell, that is female gametes. The stamen and carpels are the male and female parts of the flower respectively. So a flower which contains both stamen and carpel in one flower, that means a flower which contains both stamen and carpels is called bisexual flower or hermaphrodite or just as a perfect flower. A flower which has only one of these parts, that is having only stamen or only carpel, is called unisexual or incomplete or imperfect flower. For example, papaya and palm. A unisexual flower which contains only the stamen is called male or staminate flower. A flower which contains only carpels is called female or pistillate flower. Next is neuter flower, a flower in which both male and female reproductive organs are lacking. Those are called neuter flower. See, unisexual flowers which contain only one organ of reproduction, either only the pistil or only the stamen, are called unisexual or incomplete. Bisexual, the flowers which contain both reproductive organs, pistil as well as stamen, are called bisexual or complete flowers. Example, rose and mustard. So differentiation between the bisexual flower and unisexual flower. So unisexual flowers contain both male and female reproductive organs in separate flowers. Bisexual flower contains both male and female reproductive organs in same flower. So male flowers contain stamens whereas female flower contains pistils. Here a single flower contains both anther and ovary. So there are two types known as monoecious and dioecious. And here hermaphrodite or androgynous flowers. So this bisexual flowers are also called hermaphrodite or androgynous. Next, they are called unisexual flowers called incomplete flowers. These are called bisexual flowers called complete flowers. Monoecious flowers undergo self and cross pollination and dioecious flowers undergo cross pollination. Bisexual flower can undergo both self and cross pollination. Flowers in papaya and watermelon, corn and mulberry, are some examples of unisexual flowers. Flowers in rose, lily, hibiscus, mustard and sweet pea are some of the examples of bisexual flowers. So about the neutral and agamic, sterile flower is arburative and no sexual organs are seen. For example, ornamental plants. Next, these are about the general description of the floral parts that will be discussed in the next class. Okay children, have a good day.